I'm extremely excited to make this video, but before I do, if you guys want to check out my feature film Pesadilla, you can check the link down below. You can get the Blu-ray. Yes, you can get the Blu-ray. Really exciting. And also, you can check it out on Amazon. You can also check out my other short films, all of my social media, like my letterbox, all that stuff. It's down there in the link tree. Now, I have an unhealthy obsession with aspect ratios. I don't know why. I just really love aspect ratios. I love talking about aspect ratios. I don't know. It's kind of fun. And we're going to rank. We're going to do a tier list of aspect ratios. This is actually the first tier list I've ever done on this channel. And right down here, I have all the main aspect ratios that I'm going to talk about. I've split up some of them into one category just because. And I don't know, maybe I can learn somebody some aspect ratios with these, because we're going to get into the nitty gritty. So the first one that we're going to talk about is 9:16. 9:16. This aspect ratio, honestly, yeah, we're going to go F tier with that, just because, I mean, it's vertical. Ooh. No, but I mean, it's for iPhones, it's for smartphones. I don't really know anybody that uses the aspect ratio unless it's for vertical. So I mean, you know, technically it needs to be used, I guess. So I mean, for phones, it's kind of great. So all right, I'll put it up in the D tier. I just realized B and C are. Oh no. Let's change. There we go. We just fixed it. We took care of that problem. Yeah, I'll put 9:16 in D. I mean, might as well. I want to try to be fair to some of these, because you could view some of these aspect ratios on a 16:9. You could view them on your phone. You could view them on an ultra wide monitor. It really just depends. So yeah, I don't know. Maybe that was unfair. It doesn't matter. We're going to continue. I have some of these on here double. 3001. We're going to get into this one too. I'm going to throw this one in the D tier as well, just because It Comes at Night used it. It did a really cool aspect ratio change, and I'm going to just put it in D tier just because I don't know if I'd want to watch a whole entire film in that aspect ratio. I don't know. I'm going to put it C tier just because maybe that might be kind of a cool thing, because I don't want to go back on my word. I'm actually going to do something which might shock people. It's going to blow the world up. Yeah, I don't know. It was really cool when they did it, so I'm going to put it in C. Not many films like that, but I guess we could go ahead and use this one, 4001. I'm going to throw that in the F tier. I just don't know if I could comfortably watch a whole film in that aspect ratio. I know Napoleon did it, but honestly, if you're using that aspect ratio, you're just trying to look cool, and it just doesn't work. I'm sorry. Seriously, don't ever let me catch you out using that aspect ratio. No. 175.1. This was one that Kurt Russell used in Women in Love. And just because I want to be negative, I'm throwing that one in the F tier too, because there's no real point. I don't know what he was thinking. Why didn't you just shoot it in 1.661? Heck, I would even have taken 4:3. I would have taken 1.331. It's just at that point, nah, you're trying to look cool, man, and it's just not working. But it is a good movie though. But it's such a strange aspect ratio. Like when I saw the back of my Criterion, I was like, why? And it looks kind of funky too, especially on a 16:9 TV, because you have these two little slim black bars on the side, which I can sort of deal with 185. But it's just on the side. It's just I don't know, man. It's just no. Legally, I can't like the aspect ratio. I just can't. I'm sorry. Next up is 119.1. Again, we're going to be really negative here. I can watch a film in this aspect ratio. I did The Lighthouse. But I just can't do it. I mean, Mommy did it, but the way that film did it was very unique, just because the way that it sort of transitions into the other aspect ratio. But I mean, 119.1, look, if you want to be artsy, I get it, but you could just go 133. I mean, I'm cool with that. I don't know. If I wanted to look at a box, I'd stare at my Amazon package. Okay, we have to have a little bit of positivity here. We have to have a little bit of positivity. We're going to go with this aspect ratio, 185.1. I'm going to throw this in the A tier just because it's been used so much. I mean, it's basically the aspect ratio at this point. Well, that and some other ones, but I don't mind a good film in 185.1. I mean, look, it's the normal theatrical ratio. A lot of my favorite films are in 185.1, so I'm going to put it there. You know, I don't know if I will ever personally use it, just because I guess we'll talk about this aspect ratio next, and that's the elusive 191. I'm going to put that above 185. Right there. Actually, I'm going to switch this around too. I need to start ranking these. I guess realistically, I would rather watch 175 over 4. 191 aspect ratio. Come on. Go. There we go. 191. I mean, it's a little bit tighter than 185. I mean, there's not really that big of a difference. But, I mean, look, you either go all the way or you don't. So I'm going to go 191 just because, and that's also I've heard poor man's IMAX, which I mean it's just an aspect ratio that works well with the IMAX screen, I guess you could say. And like when I watched Alien Romulus, I had a chance to see it in that aspect ratio in IMAX, and oddly enough, Terrifier, the first one, is in that aspect ratio. So honestly, I would probably use 191 over 185 just for practical reasons. I think we should probably usher in a new wave of that. But also 185.1 also has the risk of some companies love to put it in 16:9 for the Blu-ray. We're not about that life. We don't do that around here, which... Let's go ahead and talk about this aspect ratio. Let's talk about... No. Oh my gosh, why is this so hard? This shouldn't be that hard. 2:1 aspect ratio. I'm throwing this in the S tier. This is going in the S tier. I'll just leave these right here just so I don't clutter it up. 1:1 is one of my favorite aspect ratios. It's what I shot my first feature film in. It's nice, it's tight, I respect it a lot. I would rather use, I think if you're going to go all the way with the 2:3s, you might as well go with the 2:4. It's just a nice, clean overall aspect ratio. I personally love it. I guess we can go ahead and throw the 2:3s in here, which the interesting thing about the 2:3s, before we put this in an actual category, the thing about the 2:3 aspect ratio is like 185.1, it is commonly used. I have no issue. Let's be honest. The only people that have an issue with the 2:35, 2:3:9:1 aspect ratio, they're dads. Most of the time, it's just dads because they're just like, what the hell? I only paid for half the screen. And it just doesn't, it makes really no sense, even though a lot of dad movies are in this aspect ratio. I grew up without mine, so I didn't have to worry about that issue. But yeah, we're going to, we'll put it in A just because, I mean, I actually don't mind it. I'm going to put it right here. Look, if I'm being honest, there's not really a huge difference between 3 and 9. And I guess you could even say with 4 too. But I'm just going to be a stickler for it. We're going to stick with that. That's where I'm putting it at. I have no issue with it, and especially if you're watching it on an ultra-wide monitor. It's not a problem. It's not a problem. Ugh. Ooh, we're putting this one right here in the F category. 16. No, we got to be realistic. I'll put it in the D. I'm going to put it in the D just because, look, if you're shooting your film in 16:9, you just shouldn't. But also TV, most of your favorite TV shows are in that aspect ratio, and I get it. And that's why I don't like films being shot in that aspect ratio, just because it does look like that. It looks like a TV show or whatever. But, I mean, Zone of Interest did it really well, but you're not Jonathan Glazer, so there's also that. And also, it's the aspect ratio that some companies will go as far as to put a 2:1 aspect ratio and convert it to 1... It's honestly ridiculous. Anytime that Contagion did that, where on the back of it said 185.1 and it was really 16:9, and I was like, you guys seriously just don't like me. But now we have this aspect ratio, 255.1, and I'm going to throw this in A. I'm going to throw it in A. I actually really enjoy this aspect ratio. It's very tight. I did my last short film in that aspect ratio that I made just because it adds sort of a claustrophobic feel, and it's not really as intense as, say, something like 276.1 aspect ratio. I feel like when you're doing 270 or 280, you're trying to make a statement, but I feel like 255, you can sort of, it kind of hides things. You know, you are trying to be artistic, yes, but at the same time, I feel like there is a purpose with that aspect ratio, so we're going to keep it there. We ain't got no issue with that. 1:6:6:1 aspect ratio is going in... I'm throwing that in S tier. 1:6:6:1 aspect ratio is so clean. It really is. It's the European aspect ratio. If you're looking for something like, if you're wanting to go symmetrical and stuff, it is so clean. It's not overbearing like 1:3:3:1. It is noticeable. It is very artistic. But look, most of the time when I see a film that's shot in 1:6:6:1 aspect ratio, buddy, you're in for a treat. There's something going on. There is something going on. Like, you feel it. Like, look, my hand's even shaking right now thinking about it. So I love 1:6:6:1 aspect ratio. I honestly, filmmakers that are still shooting in that aspect ratio, thank you. Which I guess we can go ahead and do the 130s. The 130s. Look, I gotta be in the mood for it. And older films, I forgive it, but I'm gonna put it right here, like 1:3:3:1, 1:3:7:1, the Academy aspect ratio, TV aspect ratio. I don't have a problem with them whatsoever. Modern films that use them, I'm actually a big fan of. Me personally, I mean, I used it for one of my short films, but I mean, really, you're just looking to be artistic, aren't you? But I don't mind them. I really don't. You know, so we'll leave that there. I have no issue with that being there. 143 aspect ratio. I'm actually going to put this one above 185 just because this is the IMAX aspect ratio. No, stop it. Yeah, I'll put it right there. It's the IMAX aspect ratio, and honestly, I think filmmakers should probably go this route as opposed to this route. Again, don't let me tell you what to do. I'm just saying. I'm just talking. But yeah, it's IMAX. What can you say, really? And I think it's a good, pleasing aspect ratio to look at, if I'm being completely honest with you. Which we can go ahead and go to 150. This is open gate basically, and I've seen films in 156. But I mean, look, if you wanted to, if you want to stay a virgin your whole life, you can use this aspect ratio, sure. But I'm going to throw it in the B just because it wants to be 166 one aspect ratio, and it just can't get there. So we're going to throw that there, guys. I'm kidding. I'm joking. I'm going to put it right here. I actually don't mind it. I'm going to put it right above, right. Let's see, how many more do we have? So I need to go ahead and separate these real quick. Ones that we've actually... There we go, bada boom. I think that works. Yep, that works. Sweet. 221 aspect ratio. I'm going to actually throw this one in the S tier. I think this is a very clean aspect ratio. This is actually what I'm shooting my next feature on, and it's also one that Christopher Nolan does a lot of his Blu-rays. And it just, I feel like it's a nice, perfect balance of you're getting a tallish image, not as tall as you could get, but you're also staying wide. It's not too distracting. I mean, you know, and you look at other films like 2001: A Space Odyssey that used it. It's kind of a nice balance, I think, for people that don't really want to commit to like 2:1, but also don't want to commit to 2:4:1. So we'll leave it there. I think it's a clean aspect ratio. I like it personally, obviously. I'm shooting in it. 270s aspect ratio. Now, this one's tough. This one is extremely tough. There are a lot of films filmed in, well, not a lot of films, but there are a handful of films filmed in this. And I feel like it does need to serve a purpose. Like, I'm not really a big fan of films that put like a letterbox over their 16:9 footage to get this. I feel like if you're going to shoot in 276 aspect ratio, 275, whatever, it needs to be native. There's actually a specific set of lenses that I'm going to be getting that's anamorphic 1.6, which will allow me to shoot in 2.8:1, which is something I want to do for something one day. And I feel like that does serve more of a purpose than just putting a letterbox over it. So if it is a natural de-squeezed image with this aspect ratio, look, I'm going to throw it in A. I'm going to put it right above 255:1. I feel like it is a artistic choice, but I also feel like you are preserving the widest image you possibly can, and I think it looks honestly glorious, if I'm being truthful. Just like 2.8:1, I'm going to go ahead and put that there as well. I just feel like those aspect ratios, again, they are extremely wide. If you have one of the more like insane ultra wide monitors, you are honestly in for a visual treat, just because it's going to take up like the whole thing. But even watching it on an ultra wide, it's going to look really well. 16:9, it might be a little bit distracting, but I think if the movie's good enough, you're probably going to be able to get past it. It's just overall, it's the widest image that you can really get natively, and you know, I'm all for it. And that leads me to one more aspect ratio. If you've noticed, we don't have any in the B, which is kind of funny. There is nothing in the B. Oops. Yeah, this list is Canon though, so 2001 Univism. Where does this aspect ratio go? What is the purpose of this aspect ratio, and what are my honest opinions on it? I have strong opinions on this aspect ratio, because when it comes to 2:1 aspect ratio, the thing is, you can make your film look amazing. I'm going to go ahead and say it. 2:1 is probably my favorite aspect ratio. It is. I'm going to throw it probably in the S tier. But look, you have to be careful with this aspect ratio, because I feel like you can make your footage look cartoony with this aspect ratio. You can make it look very artificial, or you can make it look like cinematic gold. And the reason being is because the way I look at it, it is so easy to get your footage symmetrical with this. It is so easy to get a tall image and a wide image at the same time. I feel like this is the best aspect ratio for using fisheye lenses. Also, it can have that TV look, but it can also have that very cinematic look as well. It's the best of both worlds. I'm throwing it at the #1 aspect ratio. I don't use it a lot personally, just because I do feel like 2:1 aspect ratio is an aspect ratio you have to tame, and I feel like if you've got a pretty big vision for it, you could definitely make it happen. But if you're throwing it on there just to throw it on there, it's not worth it. It's not. Just don't do it. Don't. And I think that is everything. I think we went through all of the aspect ratios. So that is the official Canon factual objective list of aspect ratios on a tier list. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, leave a thumbs up and maybe subscribe. Let me know what you think of aspect ratios down in the comments below. What is your favorite one? I'm curious to know. But anyway, take it easy, and I'll see you next time.